have a go at drawing our own Crista Rijneveld landscape. Here's one I've just started, so we're going to start something along this line today. So we're going to start off by looking at the foreground, because in a landscape you'll have a foreground, a midground and then the background. So today we're going to work on the foreground first of all. And I'm going to start in pencil, but if you've got a black felt tip, it'd be good to start in pencil and then get your black felt tip. I've got one here to carry on with after. So the first thing we're going to do is to draw our range of mountains. And I'm going to start in the corner here, and I want them to look really irregular. I don't want them to all look like I've drawn some equal triangles. So I'm going to kind of start with quite a big one over here, and then I might not come all the way down just yet. Might draw a little one, and then I might come off the page and then draw my last one there. So I've got my first mountain range along here. So that's my foreground. Now I'm going to have a go at the midground. So I'm going to have some much bigger mountains in the background. You can imagine these are right in the distance. Maybe they're looking a bit too equal at the moment. So I'm going to come down, maybe have a bit more of a rugged edge on some of these mountains so they're not too dead straight lines. I don't really like these straight lines that I've drawn too much, but I've done it in pencil. So if I want to, I can rub that out and just make that more rugged there. So I'm quite happy with my mountains at the moment. The next thing that we're going to do is we're going to kind of try and draw some lines that come down here from the top of the mountain and from the valley there. So from the top of this mountain, instead of coming dead straight, I'm going to try and sort of wiggle that line down. So you can imagine you don't want your mountains to be dead straight. We can imagine walking up this one and following that line. And then I'm going to come onto this line. And you can pause this video whenever you want to, if you want to sort of catch up. So I've done the top, the peak, and then the valley, the peak, and then the valley here. I might move that one. I might carry that one on so that mountain looks like it's a little bit in front of that one. And then down from the peak, and then the peak here. And again, I want it to look a bit more rugged. And I'll do the same in the back, the middle ground. So from the peak, I'll draw a little ragged line down, the valley, and then the peak there. If you haven't got a black felt tip, do this faintly, and then you can go over it. So I'm going to make that one just sort of drawing that line there. It's looking a bit confusing at the moment, but once we start in felt tip, it will all start to come together. That's going to come down there, the valley here, and the peak, and that's my last peak. So they've all got lines down now. Now I'm going to take this very first mountain in the foreground. So I'm going to swap with my pencil to my felt tip. If you've only got pencil, you can still do this in pencil, but it just looks better in felt tip. So I'm going to start by just going around the outline of my mountain. I think this is actually a grey pen, but it's okay. So this is my foreground mountain range. Okay. And I'm going to make that line nice and thick so I know that that is the edge of my mountain and not the line from the valley or from the peak. So that's definitely my mountain, foreground mountain range. Now I'm going to draw this line down. Now this is where you really need to take your time. Notice the speed that I'm drawing. What you don't want to do is to rush this. So I'm going to let these lines kind of follow. I'm going to make sure the lines, the gaps between the lines are equal. And notice the speed that I'm going. If you go too quickly, you're going to not get the effect that you want. I'm trying to sort of move the line as well, so again it's not dead straight. I want to imagine that if you're walking up this mountain, you might go over those bumps. So I'm just going to finish this line off here at this speed. And if you don't have a felt tip, you could use a biro or just press on quite hard with your pencil. And then once I've finished the lines this way, I'm going to turn my page round because it's quite difficult to draw down towards you. So if I turn my paper that way, and I'm going to follow this line here, I'm kind of filling in, if I draw that line down from that little valley there, I'm filling in this section here now, so I want that line to follow the edge of the mountain all the way down, again keeping it at this speed. So hopefully you've got the hang of that. Notice the way the lines are touching there, I don't mind that, that's going to sort of exaggerate the edge of my mountains. The real tendency is to just rush, so every now and again have a little break. You can see with the one that I did earlier here, I left some of the gaps much bigger because I felt if these were the mountains in the foreground, maybe these gaps could be bigger and then they get darker as they go into the middle ground. So I might start to spread some of these out a bit more. So as they're in the foreground, they spread out. Okay, so see if you can get that far, and I'll do the rest of my mountains in the foreground first of all.